Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we have some news and some not good news, and we're kind of going to be dissecting a lot of the stuff that's been coming out lately, particularly about the Let's Go Togepi, Let's Go Wooper leaks for the Johto remakes. But before we get into reading those leaks, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, comment below what your favorite part of this is, and what actually do you hope we get of the real Johto remake games? Or potentially even Let's Go Unova games. Or Legends Meloetta. So this is what we seem to have available for the leaks. The Gold, Silver, and Crystal remakes for the Switch, direct sequels to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, Wooper and Togepi are going to be the two mascots of the game, a post-game involving Kanto. There will be a new Pokeball Plus accessory based on the GS Ball with a Celebi inside, so you can get a Celebi when you connect to the game. You get a Wooper and Togepi egg from Professor Elm that is about to hatch, and that becomes your partner Pokemon. In-game trades for Hisuian, Galarian, and Paldean forms. But things such as Cursula will be required as a transfer in from Pokemon Home or Pokemon Go. Held items are going to be a thing, and the Go Park has been removed from Fuchsia City and instead is going to be occupying the Johto Safari Zone by Route 4748. Gameplay will be similar to the original Let's Go games, and awakened values will return, meaning a return of candies. A new Pokémon-like system, which was the system from Pokemon X and Y that was carried over into Poké Refresh, the one where you can basically head pat your Pokemon and give them food. Big in-game rewards for transferring Pokemon from the original Let's Go games, which may seem like a mirror to the original Gold, Silver, Crystal, where you can trade over Pokemon from the original Gen 1 games, and they're holding special items. You get to play as a brand new trainer and have a brand new rival. Your partner will find apricorns. You can bring those to Kurt and make new Pokeballs from that. And the Golden Silver Leaf can now power up your Wooper and Togepi when held. And these will apparently be the last mainline Pokemon games on the Switch. I have a number of questions. But before we get into the rest of that, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more. We have a whole lot to talk about with this game. Or at least this hypothetical game. And from my tone there, I think you can see my sort of skepticism on this. We're going to take a look at really just the logo right up first, and actually compare that with the Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee logos. The Wooper logo has the GS ball in place of the Pokeball, and the tail, or the exclamation point, is a Wooper's tail, and the Togepi's is an upside-down egg. This already is a massive red flag for me. The main reason is really the Wooper focus. Generation 2 already had a mascot Pokemon, being Togepi and Marill. The Marill family has been an icon of Gen 2 since the beginning. In fact, it was more or less made to be Generation 2's mascot alongside of Togepi. Now, there is one associated issue with, well, two games that have, a fairy-type starter. Well, you're both going to have a fairy-type. This is a lot less of an issue than it would really seem. The main reason is Togepi is a special attacker, Azumarill is a physical attacker. Now, when it came to Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, there also was all the special moves everything gets. You had the water move for Pikachu, the electric move for Pikachu, and the flying move for Pikachu. There were a number of special attacks that Pikachu got access to, which were different typings, as well as Eevee having a move that corresponded to every single one of its evolutionary typings. This is why Wooper as an icon makes a little suspect for me. Wooper is very well beloved within the community, and with things such as Clodsire and Paldean Wooper, the Pokemon Company has begun leaning on this love by the community. But would Furret not also make more sense, or at least Sentret, given the love people have for Furret? Or Pichu, if this is supposed to be a sequel to the original Let's Go games, but original point of still Marill, which, again, has historically been the icon of Generation 2, and Togepi, which does make sense, as that was one of the first Pokemon from Generation 2 ever shown, other than Ho-Oh. It actually debuted all the way back in very deep, very early on in the Kanto anime. So Togepi's been around for a long time. So the Wooper focus is something that seems a little suspect, because that is going to galvanize player attention. Oh, we love Wooper, Wooper-focused game, yeah! Especially when you remember that in the original Pokemon Let's Go games, the original idea was Let's Go Psyduck and Let's Go Pikachu, not Eevee. It was really the fan response specifically dedicated to Eevee that did change their minds, which the same can be applied here when it comes to Wooper. Azumarill is also no slouch in popularity. But the biggest thing that is a red flag for me, beyond specifically the Togepi and the Wooper, or the Togepi and the Marill, is there's one thing that's mentioned and one thing that specifically isn't mentioned. The mentioning of the Safari Zone when saying this is a Gold, Silver, Crystal remake, which the Gold, Silver, Crystal remake is itself a little bit skeptical, as Crystal was itself a slightly different game than Gold and Silver, in the same capacity that Diamond and Pearl are not the same thing as Platinum, because there are some very major differences between the two of them. You can't really equate the two initial games and then the one successive game, as they do have a number of story and character differences, as well as a number of Pokemon catchability differences. Things such as, well, Mareep not being catchable in Crystal. The inclusion of the Uzian story, the differing legendary order actually needed to catch the legendaries, and the Wandering Suicune, which was different for catching Ho-Oh. Again, there are a number of differences between the two games. We're saying lumping them all together, which could be done for colloquial reasons, but someone who would have worked on the games should know they're different independent games. You wouldn't call Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee a remake of Yellow, Red, Blue, and Green. The other part is specifically mentioning the Johto Safari Zone, which was not in the original games. That was an addition exclusively for Heart Gold and Soul Silver to make it so you can catch a lot of the Johto Pokemon before you need to beat the game. This was a big criticism of the original Johto games. Things like Houndour, Murkrow, Sneasel, Larvitar could not be caught until you beat the game and got very deep into the game. So they added in this other place, which you can now catch most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. So saying this is a Gold, Silver, Crystal remake, which a number of things are specifically Heart Gold, Soul Silver inclusions, raises a couple of eyebrows on my part. Which also sort of segues into there's no mention of the Battle Tower, because yes, there actually was a Battle Tower in the original Crystal games. There is no mention of this whatsoever. Sort of bringing things back to the logo, why is this only an English logo? Which Wooper is also significantly more popular in the Western sphere, not in Japan itself, which Japan is the main place they make these games for initially. So why would a Western influence really be influencing there? As well as there is no Japanese logo for Let's Go Wooper, Let's Go Togepi. It's only the English version. The main reason for this is the Japanese logos of Pokemon games are individualized to the game itself, with the exception of really Scarlet Violet. Something that actually was a bit of a criticism point. So the fact that there is only an English version of these logos also raises a couple of red flags that it's a lot easier to fake, or at least imposter, a English version. As well as even just comparing the outlines of the two things. The border outlines on Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee are actually significantly thicker than the outline borders around Wooper and Togepi. Which, that could be just a little bit of a different formatting thing, but why would you have different formatting border thicknesses for two logos of two different games that are supposed to be sequels? You'd want them to look the same, or you'd have the same people make them. But then there comes in the cross-game evolutions. While these didn't exist in the same capacity back in Generation 7 when they made Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, things like Berserker didn't exist yet, they didn't include things like Sylveon in BDSP. They didn't include regional variants in BDSP, which may have been due to being faithful, but that was never something that was ever brought up. So including, you can get Blood Moon Ursaluna, you can get Berserker, you can get all of these things, but they're only transfer-ins, seems a little too good to be true. And that sort of encapsulates a lot of the other inclusions here. Things like you can go to Kanto in the post-game. Something that a lot of fans have been asking for multiple regions for a long time. And this is one of these things that you mention, 2 regions in one game. You're going back to this region. that is something that will instantly get people like, I'm on board with this, I like this. And it gets people to basically tunnel vision on this idea, because it's what they've been building up in their own heads for a long time. It's a lot easier to trick people when they're already tricking themselves. I would absolutely love a game with that. Cross-gen evolution, I'd love a JOHTO game where you can do that. But a game that is, you get cross-gen evolutions, but it doesn't specify whether it's only going to be the Johto and Kanto dexes on top of them, whether it's going to be what you can have in other Pokemon, so you got Togekiss there too. There's not mentions of a lot of these things that, when you pry a little bit deeper, where are these, where is Togekiss? Where is Honchkrow, Mismagius, not Misdreavus? Where are some of these things that, are relatively new? So we can get Dunsparce, but we can't get Togekiss? Things like that are just a little bit of a red flag raising, and even again, circling back to the original thing. Dunsparce is another Pokemon that you'd think, well, yeah, they'd make a logo for that. Dunsparce Togekiss. Dunsparce and Togepi. There's a number of very big questions that the specificity of certain things raises, but the ignoring of certain other things also brings to mind, what is this? What is this? Especially with things like, we want another Legends game, we want a game, on Johto, we've been wanting one, we've been thinking one's going to be coming. But the real question is, why Let's Go right now? Because especially for this part, we need to go back to what the whole idea of what Let's Go Pikachu was. Before Let's Go Pikachu even came out, there was, rumors, things like Meltan, Melmetal, things like that were being known about. No new mythical? Okay. Go was designed as a bridge between the mainline games and the Pokemon Go community. It was designed to bring the Go community into the main series. It was not made for players like us. And doing a sort of repeat of that wouldn't have the same effect. It was designed as, again, nostalgia hook and Go hook. Doing that a second time does not give the same effects. Actually, speaking of effects, we actually have the Apricorn part, which is entirely its own separate problem, as the idea of Apricorn Pokeballs, which getting more of them we've always wanted. I mean, we went crazy for the Cramomatic when that was a thing. We went crazy for the item printer, which you can get more of them even easier now. So, you can en masse get Apricorn balls. Again, it's one of these little trigger things as like, I want this. It's great. I want it. And it gets people sort of tunnel vision on it without looking at a lot of the greater implications. The vast majority of Apricorn Pokeballs will simply not have their effects. Things such as the Love Ball only work when you are using a Pokemon against... When you are using a Pokemon that shares the Dex number as what you're fighting, but is the opposite gender. Completely does not make any sense there. It does not work. If you have the Let's Go style catch system. Which, if it doesn't have the Let's Go style catch system, is it a Let's Go game? And if it does have the, Apricorn thing, what's the point of it then? It won't work. Now they could rework some of these effects. Things, again, the Lure Ball. Well, now it works on when you're surfing. Okay, then the Net Ball won't be a thing. The Heavy Ball, with size differences, with size and weight differences, that can actually shift the brackets of whether something actually is just on the cusp of having a boost or having a negative. The weight difference will actually matter for that, as Pokemon do have extra large and extra small variants that will shift that needle. The Moon Ball will have its standard effect, but it's also, again, important to remember, a lot of the Apricorn balls, when they were originally made, they were designed without the later additions in mind. Things like the Net Ball, things like the Fast Ball, not Fast Ball, the Quick Ball. A lot of these later additions kind of subsumed functions of these Apricorn balls. Things like the Repeat Ball was just a better version of something like the Love Ball. It was a lot less restrictive. The Net Ball, much less restrictive than the Lure Ball. The Luxury Ball was a little bit of a different spin on the Friend Ball, which is why, as of late, the Apricorns kind of have just become styling on Pokeballs. which is why it does bring the question of, are we being misled? Which is one of the reasons why I'm generally very skeptical of leaks. But that is going to be all from me. If you guys haven't done so already, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, and let me know your thoughts below. Am I completely wrong on this? I kind of, to a degree, I almost hope that I'm wrong on this. But I do have a number of questions. I would like to hope we can get something like this, but there's a lot of big questions for how specific some of the info is and how just vague it is elsewhere. But I will see you guys next time, and we've got the predictions for the Pokemon Presents and the Nintendo Direct coming in a few days. As well as we do a lot of shiny hunting here, have some shiny giveaways. See you guys then.